views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the speakers and not necessarily those of GEB America, Oral Roberts University, or their employees. This program is not intended to offer investment, financial, medical, legal, or any other advice. Viewers should consult a subject matter professional regarding any such matters.
Hello again. Welcome to another edition of the GEB America podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Gunn. With me today is Dr. Karim Ellis. Dr. Ellis, welcome to the show. Dr. Ellis is an author, speaker, father, mentor, leader. We are so glad to have you on the show. And we got a chance to meet just a few short months back and at a leadership conference. And, I got to say, I think that had to be a lot of fun. I grew from it, learned from it, but was very motivated by getting to hear you speak. And so glad I got a chance to see you, talk to you behind off stage there. And I know, and you know, that you didn't get to that stage overnight.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of the journey maybe for public speaking for you, and kind of just kind of share how did you get there?
Yeah. So I started speaking. I tell people I have a 20-year career. So I've been doing speaking for 20 years, not always motivational. When I started the journey, I started out teaching people real estate investing. So that's where I started out at. I was teaching new investors how to make money in real estate using one of the strategies from wholesaling to short sales to land contracts, lease options. And then there's what I call the pivot moment, or what I call the burning bush moment. And that's when God kind of has that one-on-one conversation with you. And God doesn't care about how much success you had leading up to that moment. God says, I gave you this gift and a talent for a reason and a purpose. And now it's time to shift you into the direction that I have created you for, which is your purpose. And I'll be the first person to tell you that I got at that burning bush and I argued against it because I was so good at the skill set and the craft that I was at. But I didn't realize by laying down my desire and picking up his will for my life, that was the thing, the catalyst that literally took me all over the world. So that opened up the gateway to shift from teaching folks how to make money in real estate to shifting me over to corporate America, where I've talked in front of multitudes of Fortune 500 organizations, both inside the U.S. and outside the U.S. Some of my past clients include Honda, Ford Motor Company, General Electric, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, United States Postal Service, United States Military, and it goes on and on and on. But everything for me revolves around your purpose. And that is the reason why God placed you here on this planet.
Let's go. I love that. Well, let's just go right into that. You obviously that's a key thing for you, is positioning and purpose. So you just shared kind of that pivotal moment for you. How did you go about shifting that direction? Yeah. What did you do to actually take that step and make that direction change?
Yeah. So one of the key things I did was I got real good on my environment. Facts about it, there's actually something I teach called the VSM matrix. And I tell people that if you want to be super successful, there's a lot of things you can focus on, but I tell people to relegate their mindset to 3 different arenas. Number 1 is vision. And in the book of life, my favorite scripture says to write the vision and make it plain. That means it's my assignment daily to get up and know what my vision is and make sure I'm chasing my vision on an everyday basis. Number 2, once I understand the vision for my life, I got to figure out what strategy gets me there quicker and faster. I'm going to jump over to the game of American football, because on the offensive line, when they go into the huddle between plays, they're not in that huddle just to kind of hype each other up and tell each other, you smell great, you must be wearing Axe body spray, right? They're inside that huddle trying to figure out what strategy are we going to run, whether it's a running play or a pass play or a fake out play. What are we going to do that's going to simply get the ball a minimum of 10 yards down the field? Because 10 yards is all we need to keep the ball in play and get a first down. And once I understand the strategy that gets my vision off the ground, the third most important piece is to find the right mentor. The mentor is someone who's already been there, done that, got the t-shirt and the coffee mug and all the victories. But more important than the victories, I'm looking at your setbacks, your fallbacks, and your defeats. Because if I'm walking the same walk as you, it's a matter of time before I run into the same pitfalls as you. And it's absolutely helpful to have a mentor that understands the journey and can show you how to get there quick and faster. It's my firm belief that the only shortcut you get in life is a good mentor. That's the only shortcut.
That is good. I will say that for me, having those who can speak into my life and that goes, for good and bad, right? Like that doesn't mean they always just say, yes, man. They don't tell you what you want to hear, right? They tell you what you need to hear, which isn't always positive. What's one of those moments for you in a mentor situation that you're being taught and spoken into for your life that may have been hard to hear, but man, it was so saving for you?
Yeah. So I've had a multitude of mentors over the years. I'm always either going into a mentor relationship or coming out, because yes, in due time with enough success, you will outgrow some of your mentors, right? But the most famous mentor I had, which is he's in my life right now, is the one and only Dr. Les Brown. We call him the world's greatest motivational speaker. Yeah, he came to me one time and told me stop playing small. And that was hard to receive because on my level, I was looking at my successes and my accomplishments, and I thought I'm doing the daggone thing. He looked at what I was doing and saying, yeah, that's great for the level that you're at. But if you want to aspire to be more, you have to play big, which means you have to voluntarily step outside your comfort zone. And that was the hardest thing, because a lot of times we can be trapped inside the makings of our own success. There's a message I give where I ask you, are you playing offense or are you playing defense? Let's go back to the football analogy. And when you're on defense, your job is to protect your end zone, to keep the other team from scoring. But when you're on offense, you're not trying to defend against anything. On offense, you're in conquering mode. You're trying to conquer territory 10 yards at a time to get to the end zone to score. Now, we can argue about what wins games. We can argue about does defense win games or does offense win games. But one thing the book of life tells me, that I am to be more than a conqueror. And it is hard to conquer if you play in defense, trying to protect your current standpoint, protect your finances, protect your most recent successes. Yeah, you don't win by protection. You win on offense by being aggressively and going after the things that you're supposed to conquer. And that's what he was doing in that moment. He was challenging me to get out of defense and to step into offense.
That's good. Wow. I love that. Now, so I like this. So what is the difference for you in your experience between being inspired and being truly transformed?
Mm. Yeah, so the difference between inspiration and transformation, you can be inspired every single day, but the problem with inspiration and motivation is it wears off daily. I'm gonna say that again, right? The best quote I've ever heard revolves around the idea that motivation and inspiration has to be done daily, because just like you take a bath every day, you take a bath every day for a reason, right?
Right.
If you take a bath today and skip 4 or 5 days, your funk will catch up to you. So you have to keep washing perpetually. The goal of motivation and inspiration is to trigger the transformation, because once I'm transformed, I don't need to rely on motivation and inspiration being the fuel inside my physical gas tank that's going to get me to move forward every single day. The worst thing you could possibly do, and this is coming from a motivational speaker, is get to the point where you can't get anything done unless you are motivated and inspired. The motivation and inspiration is supposed to create a powerful transformation where you don't go back to the same person that you was, so you don't need to have that level of motivation every day.
That's right. That's right. I think one of the things that people get caught into is that cycle of just inspiration, being inspired every day, which is, again, great.
Yeah.
If you don't take any action on that inspiration, then you don't know what you're capable of, right? I get inspired and go, okay, I'm inspired to go build a apartment building.
Yeah.
Well, I've never done that before. And unless I start with something, getting land or talk to somebody, I don't have to take some steps, right?
The other thing that's so crucial about this, right, is we can miss out on our God's inspired opportunities, because what I've learned is a lot of my movements were based on perfect timing. I'm gonna say that again.
Yeah, come on.
Listen, if you were 2 minutes late to the bus stop and that bus stop and the bus is on time, you will miss your opportunity to get on the bus, right? And so that's the other thing about shifting out of motivation mode to transformation mode. Transformation mode has me in alignment for my divine assignment. So I'm ready for that opportunity. There's no procrastination. There's no waiting around. I love the story of David and Goliath, because he came through with transformation. He didn't need to be motivated or inspired to go fight his Goliath. He was already transformed after he fought the bear and fought the lion. He already knew what he was capable of doing. Just point me in the direction and let me do what I do best.
That's true. That's so good. Now, so along that same kind of thing, because I using the David and Goliath analogy, if he had, let's say he'd gone and taken the food down to his brothers, right? Like he was on assignment to do, and saw the giant and went, I know I can take him, but didn't actually follow through. How often do we do that? How often do we struggle with that? I know I can do it. I see what I can do. So what's the follow through part of that?
Yeah, I'm smiling right now because one of my mentors told me at a very early age that when you have a God inspired purpose and destiny in your life, every single person will have a David and Goliath moment. And the job for your David and Goliath moment is twofold. Number one, we saw David go down on that battlefield. David made clear that he was in full understanding of the weapons of warfare. King Saul tried to pass him both a sword, shield, armor, and David said, no, I can't try on this because it's too big, it's too heavy, I can't swing it. I have to use the tool that I know how to use, which was a slingshot. Now notice when he went down to battle Goliath, he went down there saying, let me get a couple of practice swings. He was absolutely ready to go for the opportunity that would define who David was. No one knew who David was until his Goliath moment. And I'm here to say this because for some of you guys that are listening to the sound of my voice, there is a David Goliath moment in your present future coming towards you. And the world will know you based on how you defeat your Goliath on a public stage. And I'm not just saying speaking. I mean, publicly, people will see how you handled your Goliath, and that will be the thing that makes your name great. The beautiful thing about the David and Goliath story is David was a professional problem solver.
That's
David
true.
solved the problem of the day that no one else wanted to solve, and he decided to solve it, and that's what made his name great. For some of you, the reason why you haven't exploded the way God wants you to explode, I believe, because you have not sat down there and figured out, what is my Goliath? Where is my Goliath hiding at? And how do I defeat my Goliath publicly so the world sees me as God sees me? And that's the thing that actually puts me out there into the world.
Wow, that's great. Woo. So on that, I'm gonna stay on that just for a second. So what are some practical habits or steps for recommending for those stuck in that stop cycle that they need to follow through, like bring consistency, bring next steps?
Yeah. So in my mindset, I feel like whatever you're designed to do, you're already that thing you're just a seed form. Inside my office, and I got it tucked away, but luckily I got one of the little pieces from it. I keep this treasure chest. Thought I made head on me. I do got it on me. Give me a second. I keep this treasure chest, and this treasure chest is chock full of nothing but acorn seeds. The reason why I have this in here because it's a reminder that this seed is a mighty oak tree. It's an acorn. It's a mighty oak tree. It's just in seed format. Meaning whatever you're designed to do, you are already that thing. You're just in seed form. But seeds don't start the transformation process until they are planted. Not just planted, but properly planted in the right soil or the right environment. So my transformation into what God called me to do started to take place when I understood recognition of what I am. That means I've always been a speaker. All my life. As a kid growing up, I was a kid that got in trouble for talking too much. Smart kid, skipped the grade. I went from kindergarten to second grade. But the very gift and talent God gave to me to pull off my purpose, I was using it without discipline, which ended up in destruction, which is why I always got in trouble for talking too much. If you look at the story of Joseph and his gift of dream interpretation, there was one pivotal moment where Joseph got in trouble. He already knew his brothers couldn't stand him. He already knew his brothers was jealous of him. But he said, I had a dream that you guys were bowing down and worshiping me. Now, we know at the end of Joseph's story that came true, right?
Right.
Discipline means that even though I know what the dream means, my brothers dislike me so much, I probably should keep my mouth shut. Because in that moment, they went from disliking him to saying we want him dead. They plotted in that moment to kill him because he uses gift and talent without discipline, right? So one of the key pivotal things I think everyone wants to understand is whatever your God assignment is, God has already given you the resources to pull it off. You must investigate deeper into the essence of who you are, what you are sitting on. Because what happens with most of us, we're not aware of what our gift and talent is, and we're not aware of our vision. So it gets mismanaged and goes towards projects that have nothing to do with what's going to get us to our fantastic finish line.
Yeah.
And along the money aspect, money's a reward for solving a problem. So if you use your gift and talent to solve the right problem, you'll never have an issue when it comes to money. It'll always be there for you.
That's good. So let's pivot for a second here. Let's talk about failure is often a hidden ingredient in success.
Yes.
I've heard it said of failing forward, right?
Yes.
So what's a professional or personal setback, whatever you want to share, setback that you've experienced, then how it shaped you and maybe hopefully momentum, pushed you forward?
Sure. So I believe in everybody's journey, we have what's called a defining moment. That defining moment dictates whether or not you walk into your purpose and how fast you walk into your purpose, right? David and Goliath was a defining moment. It set the essence for David's career in that one move, right? And so I remember, because we met based on the 10X Speak Off, right?
Yeah,
And for
right.
those of you guys not aware of it, that contest involved 30,000 applicants. It got whittled down to 6,000 contestants. And then there were 7 that were left remaining. We battled out the MGM Grand, and I came in as a second place finalist. But before I got to that stage and platform, there was another contest I did back around 2014. It was inside my local Toastmasters club. And this contest only had about 60 people, but I got out there very confident, very energetic. And I'm gonna be upfront with you. I had an ego problem because I know I'm good at speaking. That's like a cheetah running 70 miles per hour. A cheetah ain't surprised about his gift. A cheetah knows to run 70 miles per hour, right? And so my ego was leading me in the battle, not God. And so I got on that stage and I blanked out and forgot my speech. It has never happened before. And in a matter of embarrassment, I walked off that stage briskly, found a chair to sit down, and some members from the club forced me to go back up there and finish my speech. Now, since I couldn't remember what I was going to talk about, I had to come just off the dome. And so for 7 minutes, I talked about my life, my journey, my setbacks, my challenges, losing everything around the age of 26, being forced to move back home and sleep in my parents' basement, and losing the job, losing income, watching my car get repossessed. And in a matter of a pivotal moment where my depression hit rock bottom, I start to tell myself my life would be better if I didn't exist. And so I'm thinking about ways to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I have a heartfelt moment with God where I say, you got to give me one reason why I should stick around. One solid reason. And he did. In my dream, he gave me a glimpse of my purpose and all the people I was going to be blessed to affect globally just by sticking around. And so that's where I discovered purpose. And I tell people all the time, you must get in the face of the creator to figure out not only what you're capable and qualified to do, but what you've been put here to do. I'm holding an iPhone right now. And most of us grab our technology, our iPhones, we just open them up and start going through them. But in a matter of a couple of weeks, you start realizing there's things on this iPhone that it can do that you weren't aware of because you never sat down and read the instruction manual to know what the creation's supposed to do.
True.
Right? If I want to know what my iPhone can do, I got to go to the creator, which is Apple. If I want to know what I'm truly capable of and what I'm designed to do, I got to get in the face of my creator and sit down and be humble enough to understand my purpose, my calling, my gifts, my talents, and most importantly, my expertise. And that's the thing that opens up the runway for my plane to take off into the powerful purpose called my destiny. But I got to be clear about that.
Woo! Come on, that's good. That is good.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, so I love this because I obviously get a chance to talk with you and hear your speech there.
Sure.
I could tell that faith was a core principle, which is kind of how I introduced and talked with you. I could tell, but you teach both biblical principles and real world strategies. So how do you balance the faith-based, like undergirding tone and foundation of who you are with the secular, motivational kind of just content? Like, how does that happen for you?
So there's 2 things I want to say real quick. So number one, between the secular stuff and the biblical based stuff, let's be real, everything is biblical based.
Come on, there you go.
Everything's biblical based, right?
Yep.
What happens is we get secular people that have their own interpretation. But let's be real. Anything I've talked about from the motivational aspect, all you need to do is look in the book of Proverbs. You're going to find it there some way, somehow. It may not come across the same way I'm giving it to you, but if you break it down to brass tacks, it is in the book of Proverbs. Everything is biblically based. The big dilemma that we have as speakers is when you go into a lot of corporate places and spaces, you have to be very careful about bringing religion into the arena because you don't know if someone's going to get offended. The atheists may get offended. And we live in a very, very volatile society right now. And so one of the things I've learned to do and what I've taught my students that I coach is be a master of wordplay, which means I can give you scripture, but rearrange how I give it to you in such a way that a Christian in the room going to say, oh, I know what that is. I know what that scripture is. And the secular person going to go, that's powerful. Give me some more information on that. And I can direct them to the passage without offending everybody.
That's right.
But the second thing I'll say is this, because I just put this clip on my Instagram story. One of the most powerful interviews I ever listened to was Yolanda Adams, the gospel singer. And she said one of the most difficult challenges she had to make because she's blessed with some wonderful pipes. She sings like an angel. I got to make a decision between going into the secular world with my music or staying in the Christian world. And it's difficult because a lot of people pivot and go secular and their career skyrockets. If you look at a lot of the famous R&B singers, they started out inside the church. From Mary J. Blige to Brandy and them on out, from Whitney Houston out, they started out in the church. And so she decided to keep her gift inside of the Christian lane. And she still won accolades and awards, both in the gospel arena, and God let her cross over and actually win awards in the secular world as well. But I say that to say this, that when God gives you a gift and talent, the gift and talent doesn't discriminate.
That's right.
It's up to the owner of the gift to decide what I want to use the gift for. I drive a Porsche convertible, and I can use that Porsche convertible to drive me out of state to a speaking engagement in front of 500 people and drop powerful motivational gems that'll get breakthrough on the spot. Or I can use my Porsche as a getaway car to go rob a bank. The whole point of the car is to be able to drive fast, right? It's not going to discriminate between usage. That means that when God gives me a gift and talent, it also comes with something called accountability.
There you go.
I'm held accountable for it.
That's
right?
good.
My gift and talent is given to me to bring people into the kingdom. Jesus turned water to wine, not because he was thirsty. He turned water to wine to bring other people into the kingdom. And I think that's the core thing with our gifts and talents, is always to edify God. It's always to ignite that God passion.
I love that. And I asked the question for that reason. You handle that super great, because I think too often people think, and there's that struggle of being, well, you're the secular being in the world, right? Well, God says we're supposed to be in the world, not of the world, right? So like, that's what you're doing. You're bringing your gifts to the world to shine, to be the salt, to be the light.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I've seen people in the, like you said, corporate structure world where you say something and they're like, oh my God, that was revelation. Like, where did you, well, that's the Bible, actually. The Bible teaches me that, and I've read that since I was like 3. So like, that's where that comes from,
Yeah.
Now, what would you say, because obviously you've been speaking for a while, like you said, like 20 years, how has your message evolved over the years? And not just as a speaker, but as a man, as a leader, father, mentor, how has that kind of, progressed over that time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I have learned to do is I've learned over time to trust the gift. There was a quote I heard online the other day, and I forgive me, because normally if I know the person that gave the quote, I'd give a name. And for whatever reason, I didn't get the name of the person. But he said, if a bird decides to land on a branch, does the bird put its faith in its wings, or does the bird put its faith in the fact that the branch won't break and drop it? And I had to go back and rerun that. When a bird decides to land on a tree, does the bird actually put his weight in his faith behind the fact that God gave it wings to fly? Or when that bird lands, is my faith based on the fact that I believe the branch is not going to break? The faith is in the wings. That's the gift. Meaning, if this branch breaks, I'm not going to plummet to my doom, because I know how to fly no matter what the situation or circumstance, no matter how dire. God gave me a gift and talent, and I know how to activate that gift and talent on instinct.
100%.
Every creature in the wild has some sort of gift and talent to use to survive, and they know how to tap in on instinct. The only creatures I see to struggle with this is human beings. God will give us a gift and talent, but since we haven't mastered that gift and talent, we don't know how to typically use it on instinct when the opportunity presents itself. So what's happened with me over the time frame, I started to not rely on the branch that God had me on. I relied on my wings, which is my gift of communication, my creativity, my ability to learn stuff and implement stuff very, very quickly. And that became the whole difference. It allowed me to be the authentic version of me. In the speaking business, you do a lot of corporate stuff. People are so busy trying to have that corporate-esque look that they want to enunciate their T's and dot their I's when they speak and leave out filler words and be real pronounced and all that. And what I realized is trying to be that version of me wasn't authentic. So now you get me just like this. I may or may not wear a tie. I will crack jokes. I will laugh. I'll be unapologetically me, because I want me to be the person that carries over, not some symbolicism of what we think a leadership speaker is going to be like.
That's so good. That is so good. So let's talk real quick about the self-development space, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of noise in that area, in that category, and in those areas. What do you believe separates a speaker who changes lives from someone who just tickles the ears or entertains?
Well, I honestly believe that the best transformational speakers, I'm not going to categorize everybody this way, but the best transformational speakers are speaking from the head and speaking from the heart, because they're teaching out of the well of what they actually know. Yeah. One of the biggest problems we have in the social media realm is you have a lot of people talking a lot of gibberish and things like that. They're talking about topics they never lived.
Yeah.
right? What they have done is they are giving regurgitated sound bites of some big name speaker that sounds powerful. And so they give their rendition of it, but it's hard to talk from the head and the heart if you've never gone through it. There's this message I give called snake bitten. And when I talk about snake bitten, it revolves around this guy who was out jogging in the Nevada desert. It's this mile stretch of road that he runs back and forth 4 times. And on his 3rd trip up and back, he decides he's getting overwhelmed from the heat. And so he finds this small spot with some shade where he can just kind of duck off for a second, grab his cantina full of water, throw some down his mouth, pour some on his head to cool down. And while he's so absorbed in cooling down, he's not paying attention to the rattling noise coming from the bushes. Now, we know what that rattle is. And by the time he finds out, it's too late, because it took less than 2 seconds for that rattlesnake to leap out, latch onto his leg. And in a matter of seconds, he's now making a beeline back to the car because he realizes everything is based on time. I got to make it to the hospital. So he jumps in the car. He puts the hospital in the GPS. He's speeding out of there like a bat out of hell, gripping the steering wheel to stay alert, got the windows down, the AC blasting, and music cranked as loud as he can. He pulls into the parking lot of the hospital, runs inside and yells out, "Help, help, I need help." And immediately doctors from all over come running to his aid. They ask this man 2 questions. Number 1, why are you here? Well, I got bitten by a snake. Number 2 is the most important question. What type of snake bit you? Because in order for us to save your life, the snake that bit you dictates what type of anti-venom we're going to administer to you. So for those of you that may not know how this works out, in order to create anti-venom, you have to take the venom from the original host snake, mix it with antibodies, and that's how you get anti-venom. That means the very thing that has the ability to kill you on the other side is the very thing that can actually save your life. And if I give you the wrong type of anti-venom, you'll die. So if you got bit by a rattlesnake and I give you king cobra, if I give you black mamba, if I give you anything outside of what you got bit by, it's going to take you out. They give this man the right anti-venom and it saves his life. 3 days later, he's released from the hospital. He has a nasty scar from where the venom went in. And the scar is just a reminder of what you survived. This is for somebody right now that has been bitten, right? Because you don't have to be bitten by a snake physically to understand the concept of being snake bitten. We get bit by things every single day as part of just the life experience. There's somebody listening to us right now that got bit by the sting of divorce. They didn't see it coming. They didn't want to see it happen. But here I am trying to find out how to find my life all over again after 20 years of being with somebody, right? There's someone who just lost their job this month and they have no idea where income's going to come from, right? There's somebody going through health challenges right now where the health is not the best and the doctors have given a bleak diagnosis and they're trying to figure out how they're going to make their way. And all I will tell you is when you make the decision to survive, because let's be real, you got to make a decision. When he got bit out there, he didn't have to run to the hospital. He could have tried to tough it out on his own. We know, unfortunately, how that would have worked out if he didn't get help. As Les Brown says, ask for help, not because you're weak, ask for help because you want to remain strong.
Yes.
But when you decide to cross over from victim to victor, in that moment, you become walking, talking, living, breathing anti-venom. The question being is when God sends someone down your pathway that's been bit by the same or a similar type of snake, will you decide to become the anti-venom and minister into their world and their heart so they can survive from the bite the same way you survive from the bite? What I learned in my journey from speaking, everything God took me through, it was intentional and accidental. Because how in the world can I have you go to minister to people if you ain't been through the things these people are going to be going through, right? When I understood that, then I understood everything God does is divine and intentional, not accidental. Everything Joseph went through in his journey was designed to make him second over all of Egypt. You can't be second over all of Egypt if you don't know how to read and write Egyptian. Remember, his brothers was in the field. He was a scholar. That's what caused the animosity. Even with the gift of dream interpretation, right? The dream interpretation was what brought him to Pharaoh's attention in the first place. And if we think about him being sold into slavery, he landed in Potiphar's house. Potiphar said he was so blessed in everything he did, Potiphar put him in charge of the entire platform, right? You can't be second over all of Egypt if you don't have leadership skills. And that's what Joseph was getting with leadership skill. And let me not stop the wagon of character, because I got to believe that Potiphar had money and he had a fine wife. I don't believe Potiphar had some ugly wife. I think Potiphar's wife was fine, right?
Right.
And Potiphar's wife took a look at Joseph and said, man, I like me some of that Joseph, right? And made a move on Joseph and said, hey, my husband is gone for weeks at a time. We can get it on and ain't nobody got to know. And Joseph turned that down. As men, let's be real. One of the cardinal temptations that make most men fall short from glory is sexual sin and sexual appetite. He turned Potiphar's wife down. What does that tell me? He was developing character. You can't be a righteous leader if your character is wicked, right?
Right.
So
Right.
everything he went through, though it looked like setbacks, trials, and tribulations and failure, God said, no, I know what type of storm to put the seed inside of, right? That's going to cause the seed to grow and mature into what is designed to be. And that was the story of Joseph. So Joseph gives a blueprint into what God does with us every single day. A lot of the storms you have faced up until this moment was never designed to take you out. It was to develop the necessary trait, skill set, expertise, and character so you can walk into your purpose and your calling without any type of hesitation. Absolutely.
Good word. Good word. All right. So you've given some good challenges to our listening audience, our viewing audience. Let's say someone who feels like speaking, they feel inclined to speak, and that's kind of something that really is on their heart, but they don't know where to start. What would you say are just some really good first steps right after they hear this, they see this, whatever, and they go, you know what, I'm going to go do something. What's that something they should maybe go do?
Yeah, so I'm going to refer back to what we said earlier. I think everything revolves around that trifecta, which number one, I want to have the vision, meaning I want to be as detailed and concise and clear about my vision as humanly possible. I just don't want to be a speaker. What type of speaker do I want to be?
That's
Right?
good.
Am I a motivational speaker? Am I some sort of leadership expert? Do I talk about effective communication? Do I talk about how to make powerful connections? Like there's so many different topics that speakers can talk about. So the first thing I want to know is what is my topic? Because that's what my tribe wants, right? And
Right.
in order to do that, I want to sit down and take a look at some of my life journey and life experiences, the things that I have survived, the things that could have took me out because I'm a master at that. I'm an expert at that. Then I also want to look at my skill set. What do I know exceptionally well? And what I'm going to typically talk about is going to revolve around the arena of my preparedness. I don't believe God is going to have you out there talking about something that ain't got nothing to do with the journey that he took you through because that was your development process. So number one, I want to be clear about the vision. Even deeper than that, I want to see what the vision looks like going 3 to 5 years out. Because one of the things that was my stumbling block was I had a vision, but my detriment was I was creating my vision based off my current situation and circumstances. So I was looking at my bank account or the lack of money in my bank account, and that was crafting my vision. I was looking at my education or the lack thereof, and that was crafting my vision, right? And so one of the things I did, and I'll come back to this in a second, is I got around mentors that were more successful than me because it gave me the ability to see the future on the horizon and shoulders of their back.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Moses passed the baton to Joshua. One of the reasons Joshua ran with that baton, because Joshua sat at the foot of Moses and saw everything Moses saw. So he wasn't limited by his belief system. He saw everything Moses did from the parting of the Red Sea to everything that took place in the wilderness. He saw all of it. So it's easy for him to say, let's march around the city of Jericho 6 times on the 7th time shot, right? Because I had a good mentor that showed me what was possible. So number one is vision. Number two is strategy. If I know this is the vision for my life, this is what I want to do. And vision should also include how you are blessing the people around you. It shouldn't just be, I want to be on stage. What does your finances look like? Who are you taking care of? What does your family able to do as a byproduct and result of what it is? If God says, I need you to donate money here or do it, do you have the resources to do it? Vision should have all that in there, right?
Yeah.
Now I got to figure out the strategy. What is the play I'm supposed to be running every day that moves my perpetual ball 10 yards up the field every day? Every day. I got to be doing something every single day. If it's 30 minutes of watching a type of video that's going to educate me on what I'm trying to do, I have to move that ball 10 yards every day. That's discipline and dedication. And also, that's also showing God how bad you want it.
Mm-hmm.
What you want will be dictated by faith or the lack thereof. And then once I understand the strategy, we loop back to that mentor. Who's the Moses that has the ability to show you everything you need in order to get you where you're supposed to be at? Now, notice that Moses is not going to lift anything for you. I'm going to teach you the skill set, but you got to have sweat equity in your own success. And that's where a lot of people fall short at. They want the mentor to go do everything for them. No, you got to have sweat equity in your own success. You got to put your own down payment on it. And understand that down payment may be forfeit if you decide not to go through the process. It's no difference in trying to buy a house or put money down on a car.
Right.
But I think it's going to be those three things. Now, if somebody is saying, I still need a little bit of help, I mentor. So at the end of this, I'll get my contact information for folks to say, I'm serious about this. I like the vibe of this podcast. I like the gems Doc has been dropping. I would like to take a look at his coaching program. I'll drop that information at the end.
That's great. Yeah, sounds good. Well, before we get there, and we're wrapping up here a little bit, but one of the fun little segments we like to do at the very end is just have kind of a little lighthearted, fun questions for you, and it's kind of become a thing. I have certain questions I kind of ask, and my co-host when he's here has his set, and so we'll start off with one of my favorites, which is you're sitting down to the favorite meal of like maybe it's comfort food, maybe it's whatever. What does that look like for you? What's that food for you?
So right now, this is going to sound kind of weird to people. I haven't really been messing with sweets at all. I have not been messing with sweets since the contest, because part of my journey was to lose a little bit of weight, because I want to look great on that stage.
Sure.
And I started the journey out at 210, and I think I'm down to like 174 now, but I'm doing a keto diet, so I haven't had any sugar.
Wow,
so
good for you.
I've been really consuming protein.
Yeah.
And man, a nice steak, a nice baked potato, and I'm good. I'm right now. I'm good. That would be my meal of choice.
That'd be a meal of choice. I like that. That's good though. I like that. It's steak. I think is one of the top ones we people have said actually. So that's good. All right. So other one is, what is one of the favorite places that either personally gotten to go or maybe your job opportunities have taken you travel wise? Somewhere you've gotten to travel to.
I think one of the favorite places I went to is I can't really say one. I'm gonna get two. Dubai, because I got a chance to go speak in Dubai, and that was a favorite place. But that was also a favorite place because the very first chance I got to speak internationally back in like 2014 was supposed to be Dubai.
Okay.
They were looking for a speaker to come out and give two 1-hour leadership talks to 200 of their top female executive teams from the company PayPal, right?
Wow.
And I had
Okay.
30 days to get everything in order. And I didn't have a passport, but I didn't want to tell her that, because I figured, like, how hard is it to get a passport? It's got to be like getting a license, right?
Yeah.
And I found out very quickly it was going to be very difficult, because I had sent everything to a passport company to overnight. It's like, where's my passport.com? I think I spent like $400 or $500 to do it. And they said they couldn't process it because I gave them an altered birth certificate. Now, here's a little bit about me. I was not always named Karim Ray Ellis. When I was born Karim Muslim Salam. My parents were Christian, and then they converted to Islam, and then they converted back to Christianity. So I was born during the Islam phase, and then they went ahead and changed my name from Karim Muslim Salam to Karim Ray Ellis. The only problem was we had moved from Gary, Indiana to Cincinnati, Ohio, and they never went back and got the official birth certificate. So it was legally changed. And so what they did, being creative, is they took Karim Muslim Salam's birth certificate with a labeling machine, printed out Karim Ray Ellis, and slapped over top. And for 20 plus years of my life, I've been using this birth certificate like it's the real thing. It got me enrolled in school. It got me my license at 16. I use it to get my first apartment. I use it to register to vote. And now the passport company says the labeling glue has come off. There's 2 names on here. This is altered. So now I'm scrambling in week 2 to try to get the Gary, Indiana Hall of Records to get me a birth certificate, which they did by the end of that week. Remember, the event's in 30 days. 2 weeks has already gone past. By week 3, I've overnighted everything to the passport company. By the end of that week, the passport's there. I called the event planner and said, we got 1 week to go. I got my passport. Let me give you the passport number. She said, great, I'm going to order the tickets today, first class. Here's my other question. Did you already get your visa approved? And I stopped for a second, because I didn't know I needed a visa to get into the country. And so I called the embassy, and they said it's not going to happen. Your passport is less than 6 months old, which means it's going to be about a good week to get processed, and it's not going to be done in time. And so I have to call the event planner back and tell her I'm not going to be able to make it. But after I did that, I was upset and angry. Somebody got to feel my pain. And so I took it out on my parents. I said, y'all did this to me. You gave me this birth certificate, and y'all knew what you did and didn't tell me nothing. And so I had a heartfelt conversation with my father. Don't get me wrong, I'm upset, but not dumb enough to be disrespectful, right? And he gave a heartfelt apology. We moved. I started working at GE as part of the management team. Didn't get a chance to go back, and we just that's like almost a 6-hour drive. We just didn't get a chance to go back and do it. And so I got the apology, but I'm still angry. And now I'm angry with God because you told me faith moves mountains. I was running around here doing all this stuff by faith, thinking I was going to get the passport approved in time. And then God stopped me in my tracks and said, this is your fault. How's this my fault? My parents did this. I had no clue that none of this was in the works. When I was born, I didn't have sale, but what happened with that? I was too young to know what's going on. God said, it's still your fault because you'll prepare for the journey you believe you're going to take. If you saw yourself as an international speaker, you would have had the passport in hand before the opportunity knocked on your door and showed up.
Wow.
You only saw yourself as a local speaker, so you prepared for a local journey. And that's one thing I tell everybody. You don't base vision off of where you are now. You base vision off of where you can see yourself down the road. And if you have a mental block, if you got a stigmatism where you can't see clearly, your 2020 ain't acting right, it is your responsibility to your destiny to submerge yourself with people that's already doing and in possession of the thing you want to do. Why? Because Jim Rohn says your life will mirror that of the 5 people you hang with the most. If you hanging with 5 bums, you destined to be bum number 6. If you hanging with 5 people of greatness, greatness is right around the corner for you. But it's up to you to make the educated decision over how your vision is formed by selecting wisely.
Wow. Well, I don't think I can top that. That was gold nugget number, I don't know, 55 of the day. That was great, my man. Woo! The only other thing that I would like to encourage our audience with is what's the favorite book you're reading right now?
Yeah, so one of my favorite books that I read at least once a year. I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
When I started my journey 20 years ago, so I didn't jump just into speaking, guys. I'm a 20-year entrepreneur, but when I first started my journey, there was 2 books that I read. I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and right behind that, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And so I got a double blast of wake up energy because I realized for the direction of where I want to go and grow, I couldn't get there by my 9-to-5 job. Now, I'm not knocking a 9-to-5 job for anybody here. Don't you come here and say, Doc told me quit my job. I'm telling you that when you understand your purpose and your vision, your decisions should be geared towards that. So even with the jobs I did take, I took jobs not for a paycheck. I took jobs that was teaching me a skill set that I knew I was going to need in my purpose. When I walk in my purpose should be able to create enough money that will dwarf anything my 9-to-5 job was paying me, right? The last corporate job I had was paying me $20 an hour. The last speaking engagement I had paid me $20,000 an hour. And that fee will go up after the Great American Speak Off. You already know that fee's going up. That was one of the reasons for doing the Speak Off. That fee will go up based on value. But it is your job to be in the driver's seat of everything that's going on, which is why it's so important when you discover your gift, when you get serious about this, 4 things need to take place. Number 1, you got to identify the gift and talent God gave to you because you're sitting on something. Number 2, you got to spend time mastering it. And the only way you master a gift is you either find a good mentor or you spend 10,000 hours and practice at it. Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the person that knows 10,000 different kicks. I fear the man that knows how to throw one kick 10,000 different times. Because if I get in a fight and he ever lands with that kick, it's game over. It's perfected, right? Number 2, I got to master it. Number 3, I got to properly plan it because your gift and talent is not designed to operate everywhere. Cheetahs run 70 miles per hour on African soil. They can't run 70 miles per hour on ice and snow. Proximity to the right environment gives me power, so I'm going to be in the right environment. And then last but not least, the most important is I got to be in control of the gift. Because the person that controls my gift and talent typically also controls my payday or the lack thereof. And a lot of people leave their best value on the cutting room floor because they're working for a company that's dictating what they think they're worth, not what you're actually worth, right?
That's good.
I'll put it into there.
Oh, that's good. Well, hey, how can somebody get a hold of you? Your Instagram or your social media handle, and then your website, whatever you want to leave, what stuff you want to tell. We'll put them in the show notes as well for people to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so we got a couple things going on here. So if you want to connect with me, you can go to my website directly at www.karimellis.com. That's Karim, because people will mess that up. They'll be looking for Kareem with E's in there. It's KARIMEllis.com. You can find me on any social media platform at this point in time. I mean, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube. But what I do want to do today is I want to pay it forward. For the listeners that have listened to this program, you got to pay close attention to the instructions because I'm going to be specific. I have released a few years back my best-selling book called, I can get out here, G.P.S My Success. I know it's reflected backwards in the camera, right?
That's good.
forward by my mentor, the one and only Dr. Mr. Les Brown. So his seal of approval is on it. And what I'm going to do for 72 hours after you hear this podcast, you only got 72. Don't come to me after 72 hours saying, but Doc, I don't want to hear about that. Instructions are crucial. For 72 hours, if you go to my Instagram, which is Karim Ellis 2.0, let me know that you heard me here on the GEB podcast. And what'll happen is my team for 72 hours will give you a digital copy of G.P.S My Success as my way of paying it forward. I believe in 2025, I want to see people thrive and survive. I don't want to see people struggling. And this thing right here will talk about the value of setting an address inside your life's GPS, because the address you put in there will ultimately determine your destination. Let's stop chasing everybody's agenda and let's start getting some of our God-inspired work done so we can bless other people.
That's so good. Awesome. Well, guys, this has been a fantastic, amazing time. I feel like I was here. This is just here for you and me, if nothing else. But I got a lot out of it for sure. So I really appreciate you. It was definitely, I think it was God moment for us to come across and get to talk to each other at the 10X. And I wish you nothing but success in all that you're doing. And I appreciate you. Audience members, if you saw this or listened to this, please let us know. Like you said, when it comes out Tuesday mornings when it drops. Tuesday, I'll let him know, and we'll keep you posted. But just tune in, go to our podcast subscription, and you can get notifications of all the ones that are coming up. And this is the one you don't want to miss. You want to share it with your friends, family members, and make sure you follow Dr. Karim Ellis as well. And we wish you all the best, those listening, and keep making a difference in your world. Follow what your dreams are, see what God puts in your heart, and go make it happen, and help others live well today.